been engineering all day, so
You've been engineering?
Well, because
Well,
I've been playing drums.
yeah, I've been just pushing record.
See, in my experience and my opinion, you need a third person. You need a classic 3-person kind of holy trinity situation when it comes to recording. Any more than 3 starts getting messy, especially when you're doing kind of Nick Drake style kind of confessional music, even if there's drums.
Well, what I've realized is when you're producing, you're sitting and you're being very creative because your brain's allowed to think about everything that's going on. And then today, as soon as you get me on the drum stool, I'm just like, what do you want me to do?
Sure.
Because I'm a drummer now.
I think they say in the biz, wearing different hats.
Yeah.
And I don't want to wear 2 hats.
I know Todd Rundgren wore about 20, but you can't get that kind of speed
anymore. He
anymore.
wear that many hats. Like, it's documented on his album covers.
I've seen his hats. Yeah.
I've seen his albums. I've seen them.
Yeah. He was 20 and he was on he was a speed freak.
I actually did take speed today.
Really?
Yeah. I had work to do. Feel great.
Some of that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Speed.
Yeah, I mean, we can come up with different names for it. We can say it's,
We split hairs
the
here?
doctors gave it to me, but
That was Elvis's excuse. You know what happened to him?
well, I think it was more to do with the cheeseburgers than it was the
I'm not so sure. He had about
MGM.
25 doctors, that guy.
amphetamines. But
I heard that the Memphis Mafia there was a great documentary about them, and they said that they had to give him about 30 pills to wake up in the morning, just to get him standing up,
cocktail,
get through the day. Then at night, a similar amount just to go to sleep, and then he'd wake up in the middle of the night, all freaked out,
Sure.
and they'd have to come give him more.
That's kind of like you were talking about the fear.
Yeah, the fear. Can't even imagine the fear Elvis had.
You want to explain the fear a little bit here?
The fear our listeners will know about, it's if you drink even a few drinks, a few beers before bed, and then
I've done it.
Yeah, and then generally it probably takes about 5 or 6 drinks, but then if you have more, there's no doubt it's going to happen. You wake up generally about, I would say, almost certainly between 4 and 6 a.m. Kind of if you were sort of at a party the night before or a bar, either worried about what happened the night before, making sure you didn't do anything stupid or say anything stupid, or
get your dick out or something.
Yeah, or
be
you're
racist.
just... Yeah,
or misogynistic.
There's a lot
these
of
days.
options.
There's more than
There's
ever.
a lot of
It's not like
options.
when we first met.
Did
There's
I pay-
so many more options now.
Did I pay my bill?
Did I pay my dues?
Yeah. Did I
play the blues without paying my
if
dues?
you played a gig, did I grab my guitar?
Did I grab my... Yeah. Exactly.
Did I grab anything?
Something that I shouldn't be grabbing.
Exactly.
Which could be a guitar, particularly if you've not paid your dues and you're playing some kind of pentatonic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it could also, though, just be you're worried about your life. You're worried about something coming up. It's just anxiety, alcohol-induced anxiety. We call it the fear. But I have noticed that anybody I know who's a drinker, you mention it, they know all about it.
Well, I know about it since you mentioned it to me. It just has a name now.
Yeah. Shout out to Jimmy Barone, my best buddy in Denver, who I believe told me what it was called.
Jimmy Barone?
Yeah, James
sure he's
Barone.
not from Casino, the movie? Or something?
He is Italian.
Yeah, well, with a name like that, you can only be Greek or Italian.
Yeah.
There's no other options. I can't be called Jimmy. I'm from England. Doesn't work.
Right. Yeah. I'd like to introduce our very special guest here today.
Oh, hey.
Hi, Travis.
Hi.
I can tell he's finding his way in is no easy task with a couple of loudmouths
when
like
I
us.
first moved, I was just having a drink around the corner, and it's kind of a Portland style place.
Yeah.
Container. Don't like the attitude of the servers in that place. I'll say it on the record, but it's a nice looking place. And I was sat outside drinking some kind of Bavarian Pilsner because they didn't have the other one. I don't even know. I feel like they shortchange you on the size of the beers a little bit there based on price.
Who can tell how much beer fits in a jar?
A mason jar.
You don't know, and it's not...
I got something to say about mason jars later on, actually. But, they were playing kind of, what I would describe, and we've described before on the pod, as kind of like a indie dance party mega mix.
Right.
You know, kind of a lot of Justice and, you know, maybe some like Electric Feel, Young Folks, you know, that kind of stuff. And I was thinking...
Peter, Bjorn, and John.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I was thinking, man, you know, isn't this apt that I'm going to meet up with my old friend Travis? Because that would have been the soundtrack to when we first met.
That was the soundtrack.
It was.
Peter, Bjorn, John, Justice.
Yeah.
Just all of that garbage.
Some of those like kind of lad rock northern British bands like Arctic Monkeys, and then the Klaxons for sure. Good one.
Yeah.
Didn't think about that. Klaxons for sure. And like, I was just listening to all the stuff, and I, you know, at the time, you know, we were having a good time.
We had a very good time.
We certainly did. But I was thinking, you know, I've never looked back on the music fondly, or the kind of people, you know, that listen to that kind of music necessarily, which was me. Like, you know, kind of like, I suppose, just 101 hipsters, you know, at the time. But man, like, it's a mellower scene than the hipster of today. That's kind of more of like an Instagram, like, revolutionary, you know?
It was more just like going to the Brick House and then going to the Unicorn afterwards.
Every day.
And pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And then just dancing and going home and eating pizza.
Every day.
Every day.
When your body could still handle it.
Oh, yeah.
And then getting up in the morning and going to the nice cafe for breakfast.
Well, certainly in my case, yeah, with Frankie, Travis was on a different side of town. Always had a little bit of an ethereal quality to your personal life. You know, I didn't really know what you got up to because we kind of worked near each other.
Yeah, we worked near each other, and then like most of my time I spent when we first met with my girlfriend Tina that no one ever met.
Yeah, exactly. You had a secret girlfriend.
Yeah, she was from Germany, and she just never wanted to meet any of my friends.
Yeah,
and James and a few other friends used to just joke that she didn't exist, but she did. She just never.
Still not been documented though.
No, I think somewhere I might have a photo of her, but I feel like they've all been thrown.
Release the tapes.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Release
exactly.
Yeah, but you cut my hair. You're my first hairdresser, and I don't want to define you as just a hairdresser because you're here making good drama, good quality music.
He
with
is.
Johnny.
Certainly is. Good
don't doubt
songwriter.
it.
Yeah.
But certainly in those days, I was a T-shirt salesman, and you were a hairdresser.
Well, I didn't even know that you played music until it was when I was hanging out with Dan Clement when he was living in the same building with Jason and Malcolm.
Yeah. Wish he'd Instagram follow me back, man, that guy.
He
Honestly.
doesn't.
Sometimes with these guys, you know, it's like there's a few where I'm just like, I just don't quite make the cut with that guy, you know. I always really liked him. He's
going to be in town in a couple weeks.
And you'll check up on
me.
it, won't you?
Kind of. There's a couple of guys like who don't follow
I've
me.
Seen
where
you.
I'm like,
I've seen you kind of check up on it and be like,
him and I are super close friends, and it took him a really long time to follow me back.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is like symptomatic of. Well, he's kind of famous a bit.
I'm so proud of him. Like he took. Doing tattooing, and then during the lockdown just decided to get a studio and paint full time.
Yeah.
And has consistently sold the majority of the stuff that he's been making, and it's really great.
He's
too.
very good. He was a fine artist even before he was a tattoo artist.
Oh yeah, he has
well schooled.
He has
artist.
a really intelligent aesthetic.
Yeah,
like the things that he's
and
so
very commercial too, like kind of like a hybrid one.
Well, he's such a good business person. Yeah. Anyways, yeah,
he's in the biz.
He is. He's great.
I met him.
I've been there.
Yeah, I met him before.
But yeah, you played it. I think it was like Lost or something. We grabbed like 40s and watched Lost.
You see,
that sounds about right.
You see, I was telling you that's interesting because that's how I met James. Was Lost.
Yeah, at the brick. Oh yeah, at the Brick House.
I was shooting pool and I took a shot and I was talking about something about how Sawyer could beat up Jack in a fight or something.
He was in an Aerosmith video too, Sawyer.
Really?
Yeah, he's in the video for Crying.
Really?
So this is still a music podcast.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. And then I said something about Sawyer, and then I just heard from behind me a British accent saying, "Are you talking about Lost?" And I turned around, and he and I sat down on the couch, had a pint, and talked about what was going on for about an hour.
We're still having that conversation.
We are still.
Yeah.
It's never ended.
It's still just
what
about
is
Lost.
going on?
Exactly. And in the very end, like maybe like in some kind of death scenario, rock and roll heaven maybe. It'll be like that.
Well, it is like Lost.
You'll be up
Yeah.
there or I'll be up there, and then you'll get there and we'll all be there. I'll be there with like the whole, original members. I'll be there with like the Big Bopper crowd.
Oh, I thought you meant the original members of Lost.
No, it's going to be the same as the ending to the series.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's
yeah.
going to be like Jim Morrison, Jimmy,
Yeah.
Janice, Otis, Elvis.
Oh, right. Because
And you're going to walk down the beach, but it won't be a beach. It'll be walking towards a stage.
well,
And we'll all be there. Let me finish. I'm going to tell you what's happening. This is my story. Like, you're the one who's... I'm dead. I know what happens.
okay.
And you're walking towards the stage, okay? And you don't really understand what's going on. And we're all there. And we just look at you and we say... And I go to the front because I know you're the best. I'm like, what took you so long? Come up here. And the whole percussion station's set up for you.
Oh,
It's just set up.
wow.
Yeah. And you just get up there. Joe Layla's up there and he's like, Johnny, come up here. Take it. Take it for this
Hands
one.
me like his bandana off his head.
And also, who's the guy, the Beatlesy percussion guy?
Ray Cooper.
He's already dead because he's alive now, right?
Yeah.
But he'll be dead by then too. So he's up there and he shows you his technique, that weird technique, the tambourine technique. he has.
shaking the
yeah,
technique.
exactly.
Yeah.
Where he kind of goes like this.
Yeah, with his arm.
Yeah, he does this kind of. It's actually the same. He uses a similar technique that I used to put earplugs in.
Right.
To kind of reach around the ear.
Oh, that's cool.
That's how you do it. That's the way to do it.
I should do that for my swimming earplugs.
It's the only way to do it.
It would look cool.
You can't really do it holding a microphone. But
I told
it's
you
a
about how
two-hand
somebody
technique.
complimented my new goggles in the pool recently.
The
huh?
Patreon fans. Oh, no, this is a Wednesday one. Everyone's dying to know.
Well, I know they want to know. I've had a lot of, I mentioned to a couple of friends, I said, oh, I don't know if you heard about my goggle eye situation. And they said, heard about it on the pod. Was very concerned.
Shocked.
And want everybody to know I've got the Vista, the Aquasphere Vista goggles.
Nice.
No issues since. Love them. I thought for a little bit, I looked a little silly. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Swim cap and this kind of mask sort of
Yeah.
thing. I thought, a bit of a kind of goofy look. And, just sometimes people...
Certainly.
Some people are very kind.
Yeah.
Fairport Convention.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I know that band.
But this guy, cool guy.
English pagan.
Good
British
swimmer.
pagan.
Good
different
swimmer.
vibe. Yeah.
Good swimmer. Was kind of watching him in the pool. He was
Oh,
a
yeah.
good swimmer, And, sometimes things like this just kind of make your day a little bit, because I finished a lap and I'm like, everybody looks cool and I look dumb or something, And I just popped up after my third lap or something. And he looked at me. He said,
Popped off.
yeah, and I said,
popping off
he
in the
said to
pool.
me, hey, man, are those the Aquasphere Vistas?
Nice.
And I was like, actually, yeah, they are. He's like, oh, sweet. They're really cool. And he's like, where'd you get them? And I told him. And he was like, yeah,
Very
nice.
impressive.
Like I'm going to get some. Like, totally, like, rip swimmer guy. And I was like, it's made my day. I was like,
it's cool, that, but it's interesting, too, because I've been watching the Olympics. I don't know if you've heard of those. And I ain't seen a single Olympiad swimmer wearing anything like those alien goggles you're talking
well, I
about.
heard that Michael Phelps wears them.
Well, ski-
That's what the
ski mask?
salesman at the store told
Phelps
me.
wears them?
That's what he told me.
Really?
You think he was feeding me a line?
He's not. It's not. Very,
Sounds
they
like
don't sound very aerodynamic.
Well, that's true. That is
When
true.
you're competing, it's a millimeters game. Once you're,
But
in the
maybe he
Olympics.
wears them on his off time to avoid the goggle eye
when he's
scenario.
smoking weed.
Yeah. Remember, didn't he like
Hit the bong.
turn his Olympic medal into a bong or
Yeah,
something?
something like that.
Yeah. There's like a photo of him like
Yeah,
I don't know.
but he's allowed to do it. Not like that, like Queen who just did that and got kicked out the American team. But hey, listen.
Is he retired, Phelps?
Yeah, he must be. He's probably like 22 and retired.
I would say we should just kind of pivot and just talk Olympics for the next hour.
I'm
But we've
down.
got
I wanna
Travis
do it
here,
for the
and I
next
know
couple of
he
weeks.
hasn't started streaming yet, so maybe we'll have to have you back.
Yeah, you got to get into that. I was watching the skeet last night. It was really good. Taekwondo, and we had the surfing on, and you had an interesting theory about the surfing, actually.
Well, well, the thing is, I've been watching a lot of surfing.
Yeah.
And what I find fascinating about, and I feel we can talk about this on the pod because, the Olympics it's a global sporting event. You know, we've got all countries represented. This is not, talking about
Refugees have their own team.
NHL or something.
No, it's a world event.
Yeah. So the surfing is interesting because it's your best 5 waves.
Right.
So, but you can take as many waves as you want.
Yeah.
And then I guess you pick your best 5.
Nice.
I'm not sure, but I'm almost certain that I turned on the TV on, what is it today, Tuesday?
Probably.
On Saturday.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of guys in the water waiting for a wave.
Yeah.
And then I turned it on last night.
Yeah.
And they were still paddling around waiting for a wave.
So you were saying that you think maybe it's judged slightly differently to normal surfing, and it's mostly about endurance.
I
like
think
how
it's-
long you can stay in the water.
Yeah, exactly. Like endure the temperature of the water.
Yeah, because it didn't look warm.
Didn't. They had dry suits on. And,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a storm last night that I could tell.
It was a tempest.
There was no...
it really didn't look like there was much. It wasn't Nazare, that's for sure.
Let me put it this way. I've yet to see somebody stand up on their surfboard, and I've been watching this for 4 days.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't... Correct. I apologize if it's just that I don't understand the sport.
Right.
But I thought surfing was... You get on the board and kind of catch a wave, and
Maybe
you're
this
sitting
is
on
more
top of the world.
reverse surfing.
Yeah, but I mean, I learned about it from Beach Boys songs. So
Yeah, exactly. And you know how much surfing those guys did.
well, that's what I mean. So maybe they were wrong.
Like Mike Love was wrong.
Well,
I've
no,
not
they
been
were
wrong
like,
about
oh
anything,
yeah, like maybe you don't get up on the board. Maybe you just float around. That's surfing. Am I wrong or right or?
I don't know. I'm from England. We don't do it there. It's too cold.
You can't kind of like
Well,
Cliffs of Dover kind of.
yeah, you can't really jump in there. It's pretty hard to get in.
Yeah.
You know, it's more tea and kind of biscuits and flasks of hot chocolate when we go to the beach.
Yeah. Travis,
Yes.
you are, I just want to tell all of our listeners that you are one of our first ever listeners to the pod.
I thought you were going to say patrons.
Well, that too.
Well,
I think you were actually
you are
the first
only
patron.
I was getting to that.
Okay.
You are, I pretty sure, the only Brian Wilson level patron that we have.
Yeah, I think there might be a couple, but yeah, definitely I remember.
Or
it.
are you at the Lennon level?
No,
You're Brian Wilson?
I liked the photo a lot.
Yeah.
This is proof as well that if you like our podcast, you're a nice guy, and you want to come on it, all you need to do is ask. Look at this guy. Here he is. He made it.
And also, at the same time, if you write songs and you pay me to produce your record,
Yeah.
that's pretty much a guaranteed
Yeah, 100%
invite on
helps.
for either of
I
us.
thought it was kind of curious that you guys just wanted to talk about a band that I actually don't know the intricacies of quite as well as you do. Although, like, we have kind of touched upon them on the podcast before. Most, I suppose, closely with Grievous Angel, but also slightly when we tried to figure out who's even in the Byrds and
Well-
named about 7 members of the Burrito Brothers. So, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. You actually know more about this band than you think.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, I mean, I know the record. So. Sorry, I'm just making Johnny pass me a beer here, so he's, you know.
Relay. Travis?
No, I'm still totally good on mine.
Because there's a lot of crossover members between the Byrds, the Flying Burrito Brothers, the Hillman Stills McGuinn band,
Sure, yeah. Desert Rose.
Manassas,
Eagles.
Eagles.
Big time, yeah.
Yeah.
Is Hillman number 1?
If you're asking me, and then I would like to know your opinion, Travis, I would say if we're talking about cosmic American music, he and Gene Clark are kind of the top guys.
Okay.
I'm going to agree with Johnny on that one.
Okay. That's cool. I mean, that's easy. I'm not going to fight. I would say surely Graham Parsons, but...
Well, unfortunately,
Didn't he
his
coin
life
the
was
term?
cut short. He did coin the term.
Which,
It's actually really beautiful. If you look it up, his explanation of it is
tell
really...
me all about it.
I can't remember what he wrote.
You don't have to you just paraphrase it.
He just said that it's a...
goddamn impossible way of life.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, say something, I'll find it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I thought essentially it was just he wanted to mix the spirit of country music with American rock and roll.
That sounds great to me.
And then when they went to the desert to do the photos with like the nudie suits
Yeah.
on psychedelics, I would imagine
Yeah.
that they probably just assumed that was like the cosmic melding of those two styles.
That makes total sense. I think I'll just go with that it was something to do with rock and roll, something to do with kind of the great American songbook, something to do with country music, and then you like add in a little dose of psilocybin.
Yeah, he was really intrigued by the melodic simplicity of country music and just like how simple but beautiful it was.
It's interesting now we're talking about country music because ultimately like we're now dealing with a genre of music that we haven't dealt with much, Johnny, which is the pilgrim side of the Trinity.
It's true.
Yeah. Would you consider the Burrito Brothers pilgrim or
100%.
not pagan?
I would
No.
say more pagan.
I wouldn't.
No?
They're country guys.
Explain yourself.
At heart.
At heart, yeah.
They take drugs, but all the pilgrims took drugs, if we're talking music.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
I mean, probably more than the fucking pagans, if we're being honest. Like, you want to talk about Waylon Jennings and these guys, I mean, nobody's more keyed up than him.
Yeah. Guthrie?
Well, I guess the original pilgrims were
Yeah.
pretty pure.
Well, they were
probably.
kind of the Oregon Trail kind.
Yeah.
We're talking kind of Prohibition era pilgrims.
Yeah.
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 They maybe like the kind of like died out like the hobos did when hobo used to be a glamorous term, you know? And like, you know, over time it became kind of like taken by taken the sort of the semantics of the word, the signification of the word became to talk, you know, mean bums, you know, like as we think of them now, homeless people. Those kind of pilgrims we're talking about. The early days pilgrims, you know, drugs seduced the pilgrim.
I guess it's true. I mean, if you're talking about the kind of, you know, the sort of, you mean the Roger Miller kind of king of the road?
I'm grassroots, yeah.
Yeah, king of the road, kind of Jack Kerouac
Beat.
Yeah,
Adjacent.
I mean that's
Yeah.
definitely the drugs were rampant.
Yeah, they
in
were,
that
and
world.
the gay sex.
So I don't really think that that drugs mean pagan, is what I'm saying.
No, it makes sense. That's a good designation. for
But
sure.
I think that, you know, pagan, definitely there has to be some sort of a, I don't know, a kind of voodoo or
card game involved.
or even what do you talk about about the English folk?
Well,
stuff?
that's a different thing.
Because that's more pagan.
Yeah, but that's kind of like elemental. It's kind of almost like born out of a relationship with your blood in the soil. It's almost a little bit of like a fascist energy, but medieval. So it's like
That's right. Medieval stuff is
Yeah.
very pagan to me.
yeah, it is. But it's funny because we've talked a lot about pirate and a lot about clown and the way they mesh with pagan, but we haven't talked about how pagan meshes with pilgrim very much
Yeah.
in the Venn diagram of all music.
Right. And I'm struggling right now to think of a pilgrim clown band, but I know there's maybe like Blues Traveler.
This is interesting. Let's workshop this a little bit here
Yeah.
because we're kind of getting onto something. I can't really think of a pilgrim clown band off the top of my head.
Blues Traveler.
Pilgrim pirate makes sense.
Well, what's the band?
Any band.
Like the band.
Oh, the
Oh,
band.
well, that's
they're-
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pilgrim Carnival.
Kind of like where Grateful Dead are a bit like that too.
Yeah.
That's kind of those guys.
Well, no, dead or pagan to me.
Yeah.
Are they? Yeah, I guess. The Warlock and
Yeah.
Yeah.
all of that stuff, yeah.
Shout
Yeah.
out to the Grateful Shred too, you know.
Oh man.
You know,
No,
I mean,
seriously.
Seriously, I hope you guys are all good down there. It doesn't bode well for the rest of us if that's what's going to happen if you go out and play a show, but I hope you guys are all
I
safe.
mean, it's funny because up in Canada we weren't, and I was kind of like everybody's back at it in the States.
Sure, yeah.
Rocking, and
Rocking
what
in
a
the free
bummer.
world.
But then, kind of hate to say it, but like maybe it was good that we sort of
into
didn't rush
something?
into things or something.
Anyway, I hope Dan and all your friends, Johnny,
all my buddies, yeah,
I hope
really.
they're all good and recuperating with their families after playing a kind of show where every single person, as it was documented in the free press, got COVID. So
Had the Delta variant?
yeah, I mean, it sounds like honestly, it's like a Spinal Tap. It's like an Onion article. The article I read, frankly. So yeah, I guess like pagan it's crazy, man. I gotta play some shows in October. I'm scared shitless. It's like Woodstock with CSS.
We're scared shitless.
I'm gonna do that when I play.
You should.
We're scared shit wearing a mask. We're scared shitless out here.
You're booked in October.
You're playing the Hollywood Theater, right?
Shout out to the Hollywood Theater and then the Capitol in.
Sleazy venues. I love it.
I'm excited to play the Hollywood, yeah. And then
It's full cap.
it's no cap, baby. No, it's full cap.
He might
yeah.
just take a stem that night.
Yeah.
No, like full capacity.
Oh.
It's nice. That was good. I'm gonna probably
I thought we were talking kind
be wearing a mask
But I got you if you're
until
looking.
the moment I
of... What kind of mask? On stage? Like sort of a...
no, not like a Slipknot style mask.
That's what I was
Rest in
thinking.
peace to the drummer.
Well,
who
I don't
died
know what
today.
you got
Bit
your-
harsh of you to go after him first. Like he just died, dude. His body's not even cold. And you're making
died
jokes about
today?
Slipknot, yeah. I watched the Woodstock '99 documentary that Luke was talking about.
Well, R.I.P. to one of the
Two
greatest
drummers in
clown
Slipknot.
drummers of
One
all.
of the two greatest, the other one being the other drummer in Slipknot.
Doesn't Springsteen's son drum for Slipknot?
I mean,
Or sorry, Springsteen's drummer's son. Max Weinberg's son drums for Slipknot.
he didn't die, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
So it's the other one. Max Weinberg's son drums in Slipknot? That's
I totally randomly read this, but
that's Pilgrim Clown.
So Weinberg knew them somehow and
Yeah.
introduced his son to them when he was a kid, and
Interesting.
then when he was 19 or however
when he was
old he is.
of age, because you have to be to play in a band like
Yeah.
that. Because of the kind of hazing that they do. I mean, sometimes one of those guys wears a KFC bucket on his head.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. What you're
I thought that was the
planning
guitarist
to
bucket
wear.
head.
Well, I won't be wearing a KFC bucket because I'm vegetarian. Maybe I could get something from like Annie's.
That's what I was thinking, or
Or
like a
like
Whole
Amy's.
Foods bag,
Yeah, I could do that. That might
paper
work.
bag.
Well, as long as it had holes in it.
Yeah.
Those things, when we were younger, we were told not to put them on our heads.
Yeah,
It was dangerous.
that's kind of a Plastic Ono band kind of thing.
I could do a Fluxus kind of feel for sure. Yeah, just kind
I
of
would.
like,
That's what I was thinking.
yeah,
You'd be
spit
more,
on the crowd and like,
Uh-huh.
puke on stage and just kind of be a natural freak.
so like the
I'm kinda trying
John
not to do
Cage
all-
footage we were watching.
Dude, that shit cranked me up. Him just pushing over like an iron off a settee for some reason.
His
And
performance.
Oh,
you
it's
mean.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
How do you think Hillman thinks about that kind of stuff?
I don't think he's a fan of it.
Do you think he's ever even heard it? You think he has the internet?
No, probably not.
Pretty rootsy, right?
He is really rootsy, and I think that I think he's got a humongous chip on his shoulder
Yeah.
from the interviews I've read. Rightly so. I mean, he's gotten no credit for a lot of these bands,
Yeah.
but if you listen to Gilded Palace of Sin,
I've heard
his
it.
playing is absolutely beautiful, and his singing is absolutely gorgeous. And he wrote most of the songs, like he and Graham together.
Yeah.
And this is like canon forming stuff.
Yeah, it is,
And
yeah.
Graham Parsons, he went ahead and died, and well, there you go.
You're talking about Vancouver in one of those songs?
yeah,
Yeah.
Vancouver, my uncle.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much I owe my uncle, but I'm betting that it's more than I can pay.
Pay works.
Something like that.
Is it about draft dodging?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that Kurt Vonnegut's son, Mark Vonnegut, draft dodged to Prince, to Powell River?
He wrote a book about it,
It's
didn't
fucking crazy, that book.
Yeah.
Worth reading. It's called The Eden Express.
he? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mark Vonnegut wrote it, and he went up there as a draft dodger when his dad was really famous because he didn't want to obviously go to war, and set up like a hippie compound, and then just went nuts. Like the clown got inside of him.
Wow.
Demented, and ended up in New Westminster Mental Hospital for months, and Kurt Vonnegut had to come fish him out. It's a good book.
Oh, wow.
I would say that Vonnegut is probably a pretty clown writer. If I were to talk about
He's
novelists,
seen some things though. That's the only issue, right?
so has Brian Wilson.
Well, but
Yeah.
he was in like he saw things in the war that just kind of like
Yeah.
Him, Salinger was the same
I see what you
way.
mean.
Yeah, Brian Wilson didn't like. He's seeing things for sure, but I don't know if that's the same as being in like a fire bombing of Dresden. You know what I mean? I think that's like a kind of slightly different thing.
I'm just more talking like I've read a few of his books, and they kind of have that kind of.
He's got a bit of a clown mentality.
That's what I
for
mean.
sure.
Well, they're funny, and they're
But they're funny, but they're like sad clown, which is like essentially clown.
Brian Wilson.
Yeah, but
Well, I guess he did have all that abuse from his dad and couldn't hear in his ear and all of that stuff. So
that's
technically,
Brian.
he did.
So yeah, he did go through that stuff. Yeah.
He did have the trauma.
Yeah, it's a similar thing, really. Salinger, though.
He stormed the beaches of Normandy with a rough copy of Catcher in the Rye in his pocket, and then after he hunted Nazis, and that's where he met his first wife, and
Yeah.
he like helped her get into America, and then they divorced shortly after.
When he started getting a more of a kind of thirst for children.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he's kind of famous for.
I always thought it was because she was a Nazi.
Oh, I thought. Oh, so that turned him into kids?
No, I
He's-
think that
isn't
they
he
broke up
famous-
because
Vonnegut?
No, Vonnegut's
No,
fine.
Salinger.
Salinger.
Oh,
yeah.
Salinger.
Yeah.
He kind of like the letters and stuff. Welcome to Impossible Way of Life, a literary podcast.
Well, you've been trying to steer it that way for some time now,
Yeah.
and I'm on board. I'm willing to talk about Olympic sports,
Yeah.
books, movies,
Yeah.
food, anything but
Minimalist
music.
running,
Yeah, exercise,
swimming,
fitness,
fitness.
100%.
Maybe it's a fitness.
I mean,
pod.
it is. I mean,
Mostly.
anything but music.
I thought that's what the pod was. You had an album, and then you talked about all the other things, and then
I've never heard anyone say that before.
no.
I just thought we covered the albums top to bottom.
Well, then no, that's true. It's a very thorough,
Yeah.
super researched.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
That's what
investigative
we've always thought
Yeah.
that was happening. Extremely
Journalism.
well edited.
at its
Yeah,
finest.
I mean,
Yeah.
You guys actually do have probably like as far as the podcast, like during quarantine.
Yeah.
you guys have the best audio.
tell us more about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So everything that I listened to, I found that the second that they had
Yeah.
they get guests on,
Okay.
and it was just they were doing Zoom or whatever,
Yeah.
that the audio was so bad that I just couldn't continue listening to it.
CBC actually Q sounded like that. I've listened to the BBC and it sounds like that.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
And even when like Luke and when Alex were on, you couldn't tell. Like it sounded
Yeah.
like you guys were in the same room. It was
Well,
great.
I think the thing is here is that like
Thank you for
you've
saying
heard
that.
it. You've heard it. There it is. A nation has spoken. And I'm just wondering, when The Weeknd didn't get a nomination for the Grammy and he kind of mic dropped on Twitter and stuff and was
Yeah.
like, fuck the Grammys. I feel like this is our moment here. Why haven't we been nominated at least for some kind of like best recorded audio at like, I don't know, the podcast awards?
Day one.
Don't
Day
you have
one,
to submit
baby.
that
All
for
I've
yourself?
been saying is we do not claim to have the best
We
content.
do not own.
But when it comes to the sound quality,
Yeah.
I challenge any other podcast to top this one.
Absolutely. It's integral. And today we're actually on we're like kind of on a new preamp setup. Johnny's Apogee Quartet. Quite expensive. Not sponsored by him, but shout out to Apogee.
Yeah.
If you want to hook us
Potential
up.
sponsorship.
Yeah. But we'd think about it. But if it sounds bad, it's Johnny's fault. That's all I'm saying.
Well, when I bought this thing, the only review that I took note of was it said it had world-class preamps.
Yeah, well, that based on their operating software, which is called Maestro.
Yeah.
Apogee Maestro, which would
Yeah.
suggest that, and they've probably cleared this with some famous maestros' estates.
Yeah.
That if
Leonard Bernstein.
if they were here today, this would be their weapon of choice.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
Like
this
sort
would be
of the
their weapon of
Bach,
choice.
Beethoven
Yeah.
estates.
Yeah, Mozart's estate.
Yeah.
They would be using these preamps to record like the Magic Flute and the Fifth, Beethoven's Fifth.
Sure would sound great.
It'd sound, I only wish they'd been alive to see the way we live
Their
our
loss.
lives.
Yeah, their loss.
Their loss is our gain structure.
Do you think
You know
it
what I
would it would change the foundation of their music, like how like David Byrne's book? like that they were writing for the rooms that they were playing in?
Well,
the places
that's an
that they were?
interesting point. I mean, all I know is that In the Box is better than anything that's ever come
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, I can't personally see, being in a
They'd be using
cathedral.
samples. They'd be using samples if they were here. They'd be in a little room with some MIDI keyboard, perfectly good samples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why go to all the trouble?
We'd have more symphonies.
Yeah, it's just trouble to go to a cathedral, set up all the pews and all this kind of stuff.
Definitely pews for sure.
Yeah, and everything.
A lot of those.
Design it, architecture, all this.
Yeah.
What's the point?
When you can.
Well, I've seen that. I set up, Sydney Opera House reverb.
Yeah,
I see the
exactly.
picture of it. Sounds exactly like it.
Yeah, I've never been there, but I'm pretty sure it's the same thing.
I know it sounds the same.
Yeah.
Because I can see it on here.
Yeah. None more.
Yeah. I use all that stuff. Pick a
Alter verb.
pick a
Pick a
room.
cathedral. Pick a cathedral.
Budokan. You want that reverb?
I was listening. It's interesting you said because I was watching yesterday the Taekwondo, which is live from the Budokan in Japan right
Wow,
now.
sort of cheap trick feel to that.
I could hear that same snare reverb that you can hear in I Want You to Want Me
Yeah.
ringing off the mats when people were pummeled into them. I was like, I recognize that sound.
I was trying to figure out what Taekwondo is.
No one knows.
Because, they sort of just try to grab each other.
Well, a lot of the Olympics, there's a whole lot of new sports. There was a lot of sports, right? And then there's new ones that are in the Olympics. And they're, interestingly enough, seem to be the ones that Japan's winning all the gold medals at.
Well, isn't that a thing, though, that the home country often wins more gold?
Especially if you've invented a load of sports.
Well, I would think judo and stuff they would win.
They put a load of 12-year-old skateboarders out there. I don't think anyone knew until...
Skateboarding's a sport?
Yeah, Japan cleared up.
Oh yeah,
Cleaned up.
They're some of the Japanese skateboarders.
That's
are
an
amazing.
Olympic sport, though?
They're all 12... I thought it was illegal. Do you know what I mean? As far as I knew, all the skateboarders I've seen, they kind of get off. They get kicks on how illegal it is, what they're doing. And now they're in the Olympics. All those no skateboarding signs that you see in the parks around here, coming down now. You could be potentially in a park, I don't know, shredding the gnaw or whatever, and suddenly someone comes and said, we need to take you to the Olympics. And you're like, I wanted to just get a Slurpee and kind of take some photos with my boys.
What about rollerblading? Is that
Sure,
that's a sport too? Huh?
Well, I'm sure it is.
I thought this was reserved for the X Games.
No, it just depends if Japan are good at it. If they're good at it, they'll put it
They
in
make
last
it a
minute.
sport, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Now, does where it's at? Do they get to dictate what sports come in?
But on this podcast, yes.
Okay.
In real life, I'm not sure. But for the bit, yeah, 100%.
Okay, done.
I'm going to be 100% honest, which I rarely am on this podcast.
I always thought you were telling me the truth, except for...
Sorry, buddy.
Okay.
But my special lady friend's been away this week.
Sure, yeah.
And I've
You've
been
been lying about your girlfriend like Travis was about Tina? Is that what you're going to say? You're going to say she wasn't there really. She's not real.
Yeah, Alex doesn't exist.
I've met her. You're like, that was actually my sister. I was like,
Yeah.
That's what you're going to say right now? It's kind of a Donna Tartt energy. I don't know.
Stop it. So I've been a bit lonely this week. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And what has saved me
Yeah.
has been Tokyo 2020.
It'd be cool if you'd said Tokyo Drift then. That's more my kind of speed.
I've seen it.
I weirdly was expecting it to be me, but that's cool.
Exactly.
Well, I've enjoyed our time in the studio too, but when I can really relax is when I get home
Finally relax.
and I turn on Men's Kayak
Yeah.
Final. And that's how I envision the next day of music, Travis.
Yeah.
I know you don't like to ask about my process because it's very
Let's talk about your process.
well. I don't like to talk about it.
Right. You're kind of like method or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're kind of like, it's kind of like, sometimes you have to go find you in like a haberdasher that you've been working
Travis,
in Siena for 3 years.
We come in, our sort of routine is he comes in the morning and I'm in here sitting in a chair, and he walks in. He
Meditating.
knows not to say anything.
Okay, it's like you're holding a shotgun.
No, I just stay in the couch.
No, he sits on the
Right.
couch, and he knows
Yeah.
this is his process.
This is his process.
And then what happens is I sort of sit there, eyes closed,
Yeah.
and he waits to even enter this part of the studio.
Yeah.
And then I sort of,
You have one of your people meet him.
I take a deep breath,
Yeah.
and then I open my eyes and I look over, and he knows it's safe to enter.
Yeah, he has to do his breath work first.
Yeah. I can
He has to
imagine
do the
that.
meditation where
Yeah.
he thinks about all of the parts that we're going to do.
Of course.
TM,
And then
yeah.
and then he gets me to record them, and then he'll re-record them
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
every time.
That's right.
and when he does it, he says, "We want this to be a hit, right?"
Oh,
And
you want to get legit.
Yeah.
Is that kind
Yeah.
of that vibe.
And then so I just sit on the couch.
Well,
and,
what I say, what I always say is, it's kind of my catchphrase, James.
Yeah.
I say, if you want to be legit, you got to get a hit.
yeah, it's kind of like pay your dues to play the blues.
Exactly.
You're like, you want to get legit right now?
Yeah.
You know, if you want to hit, you got to get legit.
If you
Hit-
want,
it's kind of a,
sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
If you want to hit, you got to get legit.
Yeah.
it sounds like possibly a James Brown song.
Yeah.
He looks me dead in the eyes and he says, "Yeah, your part's totally good,
Yeah.
but this isn't going to buy you a fucking house."
Exactly. Yeah.
And then he records it and he's like, "You see the difference there?" And I can't tell, so I know that he's a genius.
well, that's it. Yeah.
And when I make music,
Yeah.
you know what? Some people, they see notes, they hear sounds.
Yeah.
I see dollar signs
Yeah, exactly.
in my eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the sort of thing. I hear a
Yeah.
sound, I hear a drum fill, I hear
Money.
a guitar solo.
That's
I'm here,
money.
I'm just looking.
Kind of a rap mentality.
Hook money, hook money, hook money.
Yeah.
You know?
It's kind of more of a rap mentality.
Yeah, or Aerosmith, whatever.
Well, I mean, I was wondering where your Korg M1 was. Because I know that, like, you know, to really kind of make the big money, since we've been kind of in that world,
Yeah.
you need to at least have access to, like, a slap bass sound. Like a kind of digital slap bass.
I've got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got
It's
it.
just up there, right?
Yeah, I've got it.
Exactly.
Well, if the session requires it, I'll pull it out.
Yeah.
That all depends on what my TM delivers to me that morning.
You and Mike Love, have you ever see him up there? When you're
David
doing,
Lynch,
you
yeah,
ever, well, I
that
mean,
kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a kind of a north, and to me, it always surprises me that Mike Love does TM because to me, it's more of a like, because like David Lynch is from Montana, right? And like, you know, I think of like Chicago, Detroit, and Michigan, and all those places as being kind of Canada. Like it's all
Yeah.
just kind of like the Midwest is kind of Canadian.
Montana too.
Oh, Montana for sure feels Canadian, or we feel like we're from Montana. Like it's just it's a place. It's a big amorphous place.
Yeah.
You know, people think of it more as Cascadia here, but I actually think it's kind of like the other way. But you know, I think of TM as being a kind of like, yeah, like, you know, Christopher Nolan movie, kind of like in the ice world bit. Like that's where the TM you go to. You know, you often like even in the Matrix when he's flying about, he always ends up in the north.
Yeah.
So it always surprises me, like that Mike Loves does TM because he's down there. He's more of a Rishikesh kind of hipster guy, to me at least. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So it makes sense that you do it
well, yeah,
because
I
you're
mean,
from the north.
Let's get.
The north in North America is the east, right? If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If we're thinking about the globe versus North America.
Yeah, and you're right. It's also just kind of Beatlesy or something.
Yeah, it's Beatlesy. Fuck it,
That's
why not?
why I do everything.
Yeah, it's
That's the
fucking-
only reason I
it's
do
fucking
everything.
Beatlesy for sure. Okay, well, in that sense, let's do some kind of Rorschach test kind of
Okay.
stuff here. Christine's Tune. What do you got to say about that?
Oh. She's a devil in disguise.
I mean, that's still just the name of the song.
crazy. Well, must have been some girl named Christine who they didn't
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
telling dirty lies.
Yeah.
But what I love about the whole
Oh, they liked her a little bit too much.
what I love about the whole record, and you've talked to me about this,
Yeah.
and then we'll get both of our takes on each song, is that if you know the L, you're talking about the LCR mixing style.
Yeah, my style.
The entire record
Yeah.
is Graham hard left
Yeah.
and Hillman hard right, which, when you listen to it in headphones, you're like, oh, cool, sounds good. But like, on a stereo.
Yeah.
But then you put it on headphones and you're like, wow.
Yeah,
that's
it's pretty
crazy.
disorientating.
The whole record, they chose this.
Kind of like him and Emmylou on Grievous Angel.
Yeah.
How it's on fire and stuff.
Yeah. But good song. Doesn't make my top 5 on the record. Travis?
I would agree with that. I like it as far as like songs go. It always, there's always like a smile whenever I listen to it, but it's definitely not my favorite on the album.
Sneaky Pete's cool on it, right?
He's
He's
cool
great on
everything.
every song.
Also on Lennon and Nilsson and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just-
Hollywood vampire, essentially.
Yeah, he is he's definitely partial lineage.
Yeah.
To the Vamps.
Probably is.
He's probably in there, dude. He's kind of got the best
He's on
gig.
Pussycats. Like, you can't get more Hollywood vampire than that.
No, it's true. But also, he's kind of got the perfect job because, like, you wouldn't recognize him. You couldn't spot him in a parade. You know what I mean? No one knows who that guy is.
We were just saying last night, I'd rather be Bernie Taupin than Elton John.
I mean, he's got the dream gig.
He does.
Literally.
Yeah.
Just, like, kind of sending letters full of lyrics and then going to party with the boys.
Yeah. Having a great time.
What about Sin City?
Oh, that's a absolute stone cold classic.
Again, like with the fact that the first 2 songs are called Devil in Disguise and then Sin City, I'm thinking pagan.
Well, he's talking about Vegas, isn't he? I mean, just kind of like a...
He's wheeling and dealing.
That's what I mean. It's
Yeah.
Pilgrim in that way. It's like,
Same as
kind of like that Ian
Steve.
Tyson, never hit 17 when you play against the dealer.
Okay, so he's playing like what's the old-timey game that Faro?
Yeah.
He's kind of that
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
what I
vibe.
mean. It's
kind of
more-
Red Dead Redemption.
Exactly.
That kind of
Yeah,
energy.
exactly.
Kind of like,
Kinda-
hello, sir, mind if I smell your soup?
Yeah, throw the knife into the...
knife throwing.
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sin City.
That makes total sense.
But
yeah.
like, I love that Chris Hillman, that's his favorite story about how he wrote the song and then Graham came in and wrote one lyric in the chorus and everybody thinks he wrote it.
Well, I mean, you said he's jaded.
But he did write the best lyric. He said he wrote the on the 31st floor, gold-plated door won't keep out the Lord's burning rain.
I mean,
Great
it's a
lyric.
Pretty good line.
Yeah, he was sleeping while it was Will Hillman was writing it. And he woke him up. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good, man.
We're good.
You're good.
And and then he woke him up and he wrote the best line,
Yeah.
which
Sometimes that happens.
sometimes that happens, and you got to take it.
Also, like, if you're willing to live your life to the kind of burnout rather than fade away mentality to such a degree that you get, like, actually burnt out in the Joshua Tree, it's like you probably have got some kind of extra level or edge you can go to lyrically, emotionally, sexually, psychotically. Certainly in terms of, like, financially, Graham had a different level he could go to.
Can you imagine
Because of Poppy.
the gall of being the guy who, like, the road manager who, like, when he was high one night, Graham said, if I die, I want to get burned out in the desert. And then his family comes to take his body in a casket and they steal it from the airport and take it out of the desert and pour gas on it and burn it.
These people really believed in being hippies and being like... They thought it's boomer stuff. They just thought they were changing the world. And you do a lot of drugs in that kind of... with that kind of energy and that kind of success and fame. Live fast, die young. It's like, I don't know. There was a big generational divide. They didn't even go to jail for that.
Well, I think they felt like they were being good friends.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's kind of like Townes Van Zandt digging up his buddy's grave to get the guitar out of his casket.
I mean,
that happen?
Towns is pretty broke up, man. I mean, he's hard up. He probably just needed the money at the pawn shop.
Well, yeah, he wanted the guitar.
Yeah, I've seen
Really?
those.
Yeah.
I've seen that documentary. He's having a tough time in that trailer.
Yeah, he had a tough life.
Did he die? Is he dead?
He's dead.
Yeah.
I made a playlist, a mixtape recently for my nephew.
Nice.
Cosmic American.
Oh, is he the guy I've met?
Spencer, yeah.
Great guy.
Great guy. An overview of Cosmic American music.
Yeah, that guy rules.
Probably my finest work as far as like a mixtape goes.
I don't think. What about your? There's a couple of other ones that you've given me over the years. Trying to think of them now. Your greatest guitar solos or patrons.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Of,
Yeah. George Harrison. You know, like
yeah, but there's also another one that you did. Oh, your version of Smile. That's pretty
that's
good.
Johnny Smile's
Johnny
classic.
Smile. Anyone wants that? Hit us up for DM.
Yeah, I'll
We'll
post
pass
it
out
again
there at this point.
But no, my Cosmic American music one. I'll probably post that after this episode.
Post it for the fans.
Yeah. But, I did a lot of research. I called in a lot of opinions.
Long wave radio stations.
Mike Kamazchuk, a lot of my Cosmic country
major
people.
players.
Yeah, major players. And, we got everything from Graham to
Desert
Gene,
Rose Band.
to Towns, to Great Speckled Bird, to Amy Lou.
Poco get in there?
No, I didn't get any Poco, and I tried to avoid
not
Eagles.
even Rose of Cimarron? Didn't even get in?
But I got some Lee Hazelwood.
Laura Nyro, she get in there?
No, it's not really. That's
okay. So you got more of a kind of like Lee and Nancy energy.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about it right now.
Please
do.
I'm
really
actually.
proud of it.
Yeah.
So side
we
one,
could probably get through the next 10 minutes of going through it if you want.
We got
We're good to go.
we got older guys, Flying Burrito Brothers.
I've heard of them.
Time Between, the Byrds, Lonesome LA Cowboy, New Riders, the Purple Sage.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, they were. I'm not too sure about who they are, but Jerry Garcia plays pedal steel. In the
Okay,
group.
so they're in the kind of family tree of the Grateful Dead and the Byrds.
Yeah, I'm just going through. We got Doug Sam.
I believe we've actually been over the New Riders of the Purple Sage when we tried to figure out who was in the Byrds. I remember it.
Well, I think we also talked to Dan Horn about it.
We had to talk to him about it.
Yeah, we needed to know.
Yeah.
We got Lee and Nancy. We got some stuff off of Basement Tapes, which I think is part of that.
Cowboy Country.
Yeah.
Like, what do we got?
Apple Suckling Tree.
Okay. It's bluesy.
That kind of, we got Taj Mahal.
A little bit of a diversity higher there.
Well, just Cosmic American music it is. It's
Totally.
it's we got some Arlo Guthrie.
Okay, nice, yeah.
And then moving on, we got some Towns Van Zandt, that Live at the Old Quarter, great record. We got Dillard and Clark.
Yeah, of course.
Warren Zevon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He's included in this lineage?
Yeah, definitely. Carmelita.
Okay, cool. Good to know.
Really if it's drugged out kind of country music, that was my criteria. What Mike told me is, it was just kind of cowboys who,
Took drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Chris Christopherson.
I was going to say Pat Garrett would be in there somewhere.
Yeah. Great Speckled
Great
Bird.
name, too.
Link Ray.
Yeah, makes sense. Link Ray, famous, and here's another diversity hire for you there. Famous indigenous artist.
Yeah.
Which is, have you seen that movie Rumble? It's amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
Amazing documentary, worth watching for anyone, about the kind of relationship between indigenous music and indigenous artists and rock and roll music in North America, and just kind of obviously the ways in which that kind of had to be masked at certain times, not with a KFC bucket or anything, just literally because of the state of the nation. But Link Ray's rocking in that. Robbie, and you know what? Robbie Robertson feeling himself in that documentary. Some of his finest work.
He and his brothers, right, made those records. Link Ray.
Yeah, they rule.
Very cool. And I rounded out with little Jerry Jeff Walker.
What about a little bit of CCR? Do they fit in?
No, I think of that as less country and more just kind of four on the floor rock and roll music.
Right. More kind of draft dodging energy, though. There's a lineage.
It's different to me. There is. I mean, it wouldn't be out of place.
What about
I'll have to do a volume 2, I think.
Gree music. It's kind of a bit too pagan, isn't it? Like kind of Redbone.
Yeah,
Witch Queen of New Orleans.
Yeah,
that kind
too
of
blues.
thing. Mama Roo.
Yeah, too pagan-y bluesy. Yeah, not in the. But what's next on Gilded Palace track list? Do Right Woman.
Yeah, let's talk about.
In my opinion, one of the greatest covers of all time. I think where they took a soul song made famous by Aretha Franklin and turned it into. Every time I hear it, I almost tear up when the pedal steel comes in. Travis,
It's really annoying because I have the same feelings. That's I think that's my favorite song on the album.
I think that I like Delaney and Barney's version of it.
Oh, I've never heard that.
That one's really good.
There you go.
I like Do Right Woman and then The Two Hot Burritos are my top songs.
It kind of bums me out a little bit when you find out these songs are covers when you're younger. Because like then you listen to Aretha and you're like, yeah, it's way better.
Doesn't bum me out weirdly.
Yeah.
I love that music is in the air.
Oh, yeah.
And at that time that people were just doing lots of music.
Yeah,
What
for
is the
sure.
deal with now that if you don't write, produce, arrange everything yourself, I feel like,
No, that's not true. I don't think I think covers are bigger than ever.
But more in the kind of singer-songwriter
indie pantheon. The indie dance party pantheon.
Yeah, it's pretty rare to like and journalists, Pitchfork and stuff, if you do a cover, first sentence is cover, but think about a song like Without You by Nilsson. Nobody knew he didn't write that for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, and I love that there were just these music was meant to be interpreted. Think of Sinatra, Elvis, all this stuff. Like, it's beautiful.
I think it is. It's just that the artists that do it, you don't like. That's all.
Perhaps.
Like, because like the live lounge massacre of British music, it's like ubiquitous with the radio. It's just like people doing acoustic covers of songs where the singers were just way better than them.
Here's more what I mean, okay?
Yeah.
Is like you play in a band.
Yeah.
That if I liked a Yukon Blonde song,
yeah.
why not be like, oh, I'll cover it on my next record? The way that contemporaries did in the 60s, right?
Well,
it was
why
like,
don't you?
Like what? Well,
cover.
I'm gonna start doing stuff like that.
Like
I am.
I'll give. You can cover anything I wrote.
Yeah, I'm totally been thinking about that, like, and talking about it. Like in the 60s, it'd be like Randy Newman would write a song like "Mama Told Me Not to Come," put it on his first album.
Yeah.
Three Dog Night put it out, massive hit.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, that was kind of like a different.
It's cool.
What about "Dark End of the Street"? That's a cover, right?
Totally. Great song.
Who wrote that one?
I think it's the guy who did maybe Clarence Carter.
Okay.
Who did "Slip Away"? I think.
I'm just thinking
soul.
about
so now there's soul.
Oh,
song.
it's soul music.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about the Commitments.
Yeah, they do it too.
They do a pretty good version of it, frankly.
Yeah.
That guy, kind of blue-eyed soul.
Great movie.
Kind of taking it back to its roots, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%. I just want to say something before we continue on, is that needs to be said. That a lot
demands to be said.
Yeah, a lot of our most beloved and famous takes came from Travis. Most importantly, he was the one who informed us that Clapton may or may not have murdered Jimi Hendrix, Duane Allman.
Really?
He sent me. He even tell us about how you worked out that.
So there's a website that it's called Where's Eric, and it shows a detailed timeline of everywhere that he was. So, and I was listening to Testify, like Robbie Robertson's book, and he was talking about when Manuel crashed his car, and I was just like, oh, wouldn't that be funny if it was like right around the same time that Eric was visiting?
Funny or terrifying?
Well, like, and it was, like you could place them in the same places.
If the glove fits.
But then you look at all of the other things and you're just like, oh yeah, like he was legitimately with those people or supposed to.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like a weird thing. It's like, oh, I was supposed to hang out with Jimi Hendrix and then he died.
Yeah.
I was with Duane Allman, then he dies. I played a concert with Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
He dies. He was supposed to, and not to like speak about his son or anything like that, but he was supposed to see him that day.
Yeah, well, Van Dyke Park's like he out and said it all for us.
Just called him out. But
I just want to know if you want us, like, this is a live podcast. At least we don't edit it. Do you want us to put one of those like voice scramblers on your voice that makes you sound like a robot and change your name?
Nah, I'm okay
knowing
with it.
that you have just whistleblown this kind of Snowden style.
I'm not a good enough.
Do you
I'm
have
not a
citizenship
good
of
enough
another
guitarist.
country you can go to if needs be?
Yeah, I got places I can go.
You
well,
got
I
places
never
you can go.
forget the morning you sent me what I would call a very detailed
A dossier.
Yeah, a dossier, detailed. You talked about the grease on his hands when he was with the motorcycle. And you had dates, you had times, you had everything worked out. And I said, I said this is something that James and I cannot ignore and will not.
Will not.
And we've talked about it nonstop ever since. And before I continue, Travis, you brought to my attention something very interesting about Paul McCartney's release schedule recently. Would you tell the listeners about that?
Yeah, so when he put the movie out, or when I saw the trailer for it, I sent it to you guys instantly, and I was just like, it's kind of weird that he's releasing this. There's been no like publication of him doing it. Like there's no sign of it, and he puts it out months before the other thing comes out. And it's kind of like him retelling essentially about all the songs that he wrote.
Yeah.
And there's always been this like it always seems like he's like really like bummed out that it's not like McCartney Lennon or Lennon McCartney, even though like he's a billionaire, he's seen so much fame, he's done like everything, and he's still alive. Yeah. And for some reason he still has this chip on his shoulder, and you guys were talking about it when you were watching the documentaries, and I was just like, you know what, screw it, I'll just go on Wikipedia and I'll see where all of his releases were. And every single one of them, even posthumous, was like 3 to 6 months before John Lennon's album came out.
Very interesting.
Wow.
So he's kind of like, I guess, like an American NGO. You know, they like send in like Médecins Sans Frontières into like Afghanistan, wherever they're going to like launch a next strike. They send him in early, and everyone thinks this is just people doing good things. But actually, it's like a strategic target thing. They go in and say, these children don't know how to read, and we got to save these women who aren't allowed to drive. And then next thing you know, America's going in there. The tone has been set, and you think it's just benevolence, but actually it's kind of sinister action on behalf of McCartney.
Wow.
Well, you also just Google every place of American deployment and just Google rare and precious gems and oil.
Yeah.
And it's literally like just throwing a thing on it. So yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do think
it's a little bit like you're listening to Zeitgeist, the podcast here. But, you know, yeah, I can see that. I mean, that's interesting. I'd like, you know, maybe to ask you, if possible, to kind of like bring those, if you're comfortable, obviously we'll kind of redact anything that, you know, is kind of like, like kind of the freedom of information kind of statute of limitations. Like it's going to take like 50 years for the general public, because obviously you must have some major clearance to get this kind of collateral compromat, I think is what they call it in the Soviet bloc. You know, maybe you could bring some kind of like photoshopped, Instagrammable listicle versions of these things that we could share to our listeners.
I definitely have the time to do those.
That'd be really, really good.
Yeah.
And maybe next time we're together, we can talk about the Flying Burrito Brothers.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
They're good.
Before we end, I just want to know what you guys are planning for the next day, tomorrow. What are you guys doing?
Well, I got more drums to do tonight, actually.
Okay.
And then tomorrow, you know, so we got we got a bass player coming in.
Got a bass player coming in. Good drummer.
Yeah.
Is it Herbie Flowers?
I wish.
Oh, he's coming in to play bass. Make sure you pound the toms hard left and right. That's all you need to do for the Trident sound.
Yeah, that's what you told me.
Yeah, that's it.
We got 2 ribbons up there. Coals.
You got Coles in there?
Yeah, lent to me.
Oh, buddy. I mean, now you're talking.
Yeah.
Beatlesy.
Yeah.
As it Beatlesy as it gets.
Yeah.
You know, Desert Island microphones right there for me. I don't own any.
Love them. Yeah.
Get out of town. Put them on
got
everything.
2 left and right. Yeah.
Abbey Road.
Abbey Road.
Are we good?
We're good.
If
Thanks
you like
so
what
much,
you're
Travis.
listening to, thank you very much, Travis. It's nice to catch up with you. And also, like, we do, you know, I got a thing the other day from our, like, podcast host provider or whatever it is, saying, like, congratulations on your 50th episode. And I was like, joke's on you, because we've actually got 100. The other 50 are on Patreon.
Yeah.
So if you want a little piece of the pie, a little bit more than our naive podcast server or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, why don't you come on down?
Come on down.
Come on down to
Yeah.
Patreon /
Come
something.
up and see me sometime.
Exactly. Some kind of Impossible Way of Life. Something like that. An Impossible Way of Life. We're not sure. But anyway, we're over there. You'll
We're
find
living it. That's for sure.
I'm living the dream. And I will see you all next week.
Peace and love.
Thanks, Travis.
Hey, thank you.